live now.
Okay.
Just wait and see if anybody's going to join just for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know what imposter syndrome is, so I think a lot of writers do.
I think so, yeah, and I think most of us have suffered from it at some point.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But like Lisa said the other day, it's unusual for a man to at least to say they suffer with it. They may suffer with it, but not like admit to it. um,
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, hi. So, hi, Susan, and hi, Sarah, and hi, Mania, and hi, Kalpana. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for joining. So today I am with Bob Lewis. I think this is your first live, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So Bob's first live. So yeah, and Bob is a retired attorney. Um, and what did you, I'm not 100% sure how attorneys work. Did you have an area that you specialized in? You've just disappeared. Oh, you're there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're coming and going. Right. Did you have a area that you specialized in?
Well, I was in mostly what's called insurance defense, and
Okay.
that's when people get sued. You turn it over. You get sued. Not that I didn't represent people that sue very often.
Right.
Um, I when you get sued, you turn it over to your insurance company. The insurance company would hire me to defend you
Ah, okay.
in lawsuits,
Okay. Yeah.
and mostly I defended um, uh, businesses accused of civil rights violations, wrongful termination, and stuff like that. A lot of medical people. I was general counsel for a hospital and several medical facilities, so I got to know them pretty well.
Mm.
And so that's yeah. So I did spend a lot of time with doctors and stuff like that. So that's one reason I have imposter syndrome is that all those smart people I was around made me feel stupid. So
Yeah, that is one of the symptoms of imposter syndrome. That, especially if you're a high achiever yourself, and obviously as an attorney, you've taken a lot of exams to get there, so you're a high
oh
achiever
yeah,
in a respected, well-paid job, but working alongside people who are also in a well, a well-qualified, well-respected job. And by the way, hi Chris, hi Alexi, hi Larry, hi Owner. Sorry if I said that wrong. I've got everybody else, I think. Right, okay. Yeah. So you were working alongside doctors and you felt, oh, I'm not as good as they are.
well. The funny thing, I say this all the time that I do have. I hate to brag, but I do have a very high IQ. I graduated from college and law school with honors, so I'm intelligent. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm smart. It doesn't mean I'm smart.
No,
So
no.
that's what I always say that you got to have common sense to be smart.
I think I'm the opposite to you because I'm so not qualified. I never went to university or anything, but I think I'm smart. I think I know what I'm talking about. Hi, Mania, and hi, Joan. Yeah. So why? And one thing I'm going to pick you up on because you said the reason no, you said that's why I have imposter syndrome, but you're not an attorney anymore. So do you still have? im- Do you still
No,
have imposter
I
syndrome?
I'm retired now,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
also a certified mediator. And no, I quit having it a number of years ago.
Okay, because you
But
said
it
I have, not I had, which is interesting. Unless my
well,
hearing.
what? Oh yeah. The thing is, well, first we should define imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
And imposter syndrome is basically it's the tendency for people to believe that they're successful. That's the weird thing is most people with imposter syndrome, by far the majority, are successful, but they feel that their success is undeserved,
Hmm.
that they're lucky and they're really a fraud. And that's what I did. I thought I was. I was very successful as an attorney, a trial attorney, and I won almost all my trials. And but I felt I got lucky,
Right.
and that I was really a fraud, and uh, that's not a good mindset. It's not a good
Mm.
mindset. Um, I had every day going to work. Um, Back in the 80s and early 90s, I was very successful. I hadn't lost a single trial
Mhm.
um, in 10 years of practicing. And, but I always felt that each one I got lucky somehow, that the
Yeah.
other side screwed up or something and so on. But every day going to work, um, I had this mindset that was really bad. At that time, like I said, I was a successful trial attorney. I had a fancy sports car. Um, it was a Mazda RX-7. Most people aren't as old as I am, so they don't remember what a Mazda RX-7 was. But it was unusual in that it was a sports car made in Japan. That it didn't have a usual engine; it had a rotary engine,
Okay.
and it was what it was called was it was a rotary rocket, and it reminded me of a jet fighter. Well, every day driving to work, I thought, oh my God, I'm such a fraud. Today, people will find out that I'm a fraud. I'll be found out. And in my mind, I always had a picture of a jet engine crashing into the ground full speed
Mhm.
every day going to
Yeah.
work, and that's not a good mindset to have.
No,
It's
it's
not a good
not.
mindset to have.
Where do
Uh,
you think that came from? What I mean, when did it start? So was this the first career you'd had, or had you worked in other industries?
No, this was my first career. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer and so on, but I was a very insecure person,
Mm.
and it just developed from my insecurity. My dad was a perfectionist,
Right.
and he had high expectations for me, and even though I met those expectations, it really wasn't enough for my dad.
Mm. Yeah.
And well, because my brother and sister, who were both younger than me, they accomplished so much. My brother won a gold medal in the 1984 Olympics in wrestling. So
Mm.
he was one of the best wrestlers in the world. My little sister won the state high school all around gymnastics championships 3 times.
Right.
And my dad was a state champion pole vaulter when he was in track. So the expectations were real high.
But you weren't
And
every court case you went into. So
yes, yes.
is that not a high a high
Well,
achievement as well?
yeah, but that's the thing. Again, I thought I just got lucky.
Yeah.
I just got lucky, and um, I always felt that the other side had better attorneys than but I kept winning.
Mm.
And you would think that's the thing. Um, the thing about imposter syndrome is that the people that have it, like I said earlier, are high achievers.
Yeah. Quite often.
And
So, I
what
mean, sometimes when you start a new role that you're not sure of yourself, that it tends to be very temporary. It doesn't last very long. The
Yeah.
people that suffer for a long period do tend to be high achievers. They can also be perfectionists, which is interesting that your
Right.
dad was a perfectionist. So, were you a perfectionist as well? Would you say?
Very much so.
Hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah.
My secretaries hated me because I always kept changing my briefs until the last second, and they had to scramble to get things done because I was
Oh,
such a perfectionist that
yeah.
it had to be perfect. Every brief
Yeah.
had to be perfect, and everything I wrote had to be perfect. But here's the thing: to get over imposter syndrome, you don't really get cured of it, and I was not cured of it, but I learned to live with it.
Hmm.
And the thing is, what you have to do for imposter syndrome is you have to learn to put things in perspective.
Yes.
And the thing is, um, you've got to recognize. The first thing you have to do is recognize that you are a high achiever, which means you're
Yes.
doing things right. You're doing things
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And that's the first thing you have to do with imposter syndrome is
Yeah.
recognize that. And, and that's not easy to do.
No,
I mean, it's easy to say, but in reality, you get over that feeling. Imposter syndrome is not a mental health disability or anything like that or disease.
definitely not. But it is like a wrong mindset. I just want to say a
Right.
couple of things. So, hello to Cher and hello to Richard and Chris. Chris from the 1 Minute Daily Boost is agreeing with you. He found out he got imposter syndrome in his second semester, not knowing what it was before he was diagnosed with it.
Mhm.
And he says he likes your car. He likes the sound of your car. So you
No.
obviously yeah, and he says simple seems to sound like it should be easy. Yeah, I mean, oh, hi, Deborah, as well. Um, it's a matter of
Mhm.
it's a matter of telling yourself. You have to it's your. I mean, we've got our survival instinct in our brain. So Mania says, please help me. How can reach out to P at my location because it's harder day by day. The okay doesn't allow me, and they okay. That's not. That's interesting, Mania, but it's not really part of this conversation. So I don't really know much about the mafia, I'm afraid. So anyway, going back to our conversation, Bob. Yes, so imposter syndrome, you have to keep repeating. That's what I was going to say about your survival instinct, wasn't it? Before I got knocked off course.
Mhm.
Um, we are wired to survive. So if our brain will predict danger everywhere. Our brain will always assume that whatever we're going to do is going to go wrong. So when we go into a new career or some situation where we don't feel confident, so you went into being an attorney, even though you'd passed all your exams, you still didn't feel confident in yourself. So your brain is then saying, okay, so you're not confident. You're telling me there's danger here. And now you're still going into it. I need to stop you. And so therefore worries, um, all these worries come out in your head about what you're doing and why you're there. And maybe you're not clever enough. Maybe you'll be found out. But so what the I don't, and you'll say how you handled it, but how I would handle it is to keep reframing everything I was thinking, all those thoughts, and thinking something different. So, what did you do?
Well, there's a couple of things that I guess I'd like to say. One, I graduated with honors and from both college and law school,
Yeah,
but in my mind, it just meant I was a good test taker. Not that
yeah,
I mean, that's how bad imposter syndrome was. I can take tests. I'm really good at taking tests, but I don't feel like I have the actual knowledge.
no,
And I mean, I was so insecure about
yeah,
that. The other thing I'd like to say is that, um, everyone has concerns when they go into a problem situation or an intense situation or something like that.
mhm,
For instance, attorneys in trial, every attorney before a trial is very, very nervous.
I bet, yeah.
And they're concerned that they'll screw up some way in the trial and so on like that. That's not the same thing as imposter syndrome. It's
No,
not.
because I guess you've got to keep winning in order, to keep a job and to keep moving forward in your career. As an attorney,
No.
you've got to win your cases, haven't you? Really?
Well, here's the thing. Every attorney is nervous before a trial.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nervous. I mean, attorneys have been known to throw up before trials. They're so nervous. But the thing is, once the trial is over, you're fine.
Mm,
Win or lose, you're fine, and
okay.
so on. With imposter syndrome, even if you win the trial, you just go, "Oh God, I got lucky. I didn't deserve to win," and stuff like that. It's different. It's
Yes.
different than being nervous before a trial. Imposters believe that even though they've accomplished it, they weren't deserving of it. They weren't deserving of it. I mean, I had, in 1991, I had the perfect life. To all outward appearances, I had the perfect life. And I was depressed as hell because I
Mm.
felt I was such a fraud,
Mm.
that I didn't deserve it. But people actually told me, I mean, high powered businessmen in my city, which is Rapid City, South Dakota, in the Black Hills, 20 miles from Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Um, yeah, uh, um, they came up, and I mean, powerful people came up and said, "Bob, you have the perfect life," and I didn't feel it at all, because I felt like I'm going to be found out. I'm
Yeah.
going to be found out.
So, what did you do then? Did you just carry on like that, thinking like that every day and maybe spiraling downwards, or did you do something to help yourself?
Basically, I had never heard of imposter syndrome,
No. But you
and
know,
then,
you knew, did you realize there was something wrong, that you shouldn't be thinking like this, or did you actually believe what you were thinking?
well, I mean, this is how bad it was, and how egotistical I was. Believe it or not, imposter syndrome. But I was so egotistical. I said how my mindset going to work. I pictured a jet crashing into the ground. Well, apparently, I was so egotistical or arrogant that I said people will find out today what a fraud I am. Again, arrogance and egotistical. Apparently, I thought that everyone in Rapid City, when they woke up in the morning, thought, "I wonder how Bob Lewis is going to screw up today." And in reality, they did not wake up thinking about how I was going to screw up.
I doubt whether they woke up thinking about you at all, Bob,
Exactly,
unless
exactly.
they were against you that day. Um, so, to go back to my question, then, did you do
Yes.
anything about it, or did you just carry on
No,
regardless?
what I did was I researched it to death, and I've
Right.
written about it many times, so I know imposter syndrome. But I researched it to death, and it that's what told me that I need to keep things in perspective. And still, the biggest thing to me to get overcome the imposter syndrome was recognizing that I had accomplished so much, and
Mm,
recognize it in reality.
yeah.
In reality, in other words, you got to come to reality. Um, People aren't thinking about you all the time.
No,
How you're going to
they're
screw
thinking
up.
about themselves, worrying about
Mo
their own
most
life.
Exactly. Most people don't give a damn. And very few do. Your family and friends maybe do, but that's it. It's people aren't going to recognize you on the street and say, "Oh, what a fraud you are."
No, no, no.
You got to
And
you got to
yeah, I mean,
put
if you're
things
doing
in
a job and you,
perspective.
yeah, I mean, if you're doing a job and you keep getting it wrong, then they might say, actually, we need to have a look at this. You don't seem to be doing your job properly. But if that's not happening, then there's no reason, is there, why you couldn't just, tell yourself that actually this is all fine. I'm doing my job. I'm winning cases. I'm highly qualified. I'm driving my lovely sports car, living the dream, if you like. So
Yes.
why, and even if you were a fraud, you're getting away with it.
Well, yeah, another thing is, you've got to recognize your accomplishments for what they are.
Yeah,
And one thing I did that was recommended was I wrote down my accomplishments.
I always
And,
recommend
and,
people
and
do that. Write down a greatness list.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's always recommended. All the self-help gurus say that, when you're going to bed, especially if you have trouble sleeping, write down 5 things you're gratified for,
Mm, mm,
and think about those. It puts you in a better mood to sleep and so on, like that. But it makes you think positively and so on. Same thing in the morning. It's a good strategy in the morning to write down some things you're gratified about, and it puts you in a positive mood
yeah.
and sets a tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You know. and so the same thing with imposter syndrome. Um, write down, what your accomplishments are. So you
Yeah.
think about those. You don't dwell on, oh, geez, I'm such a fraud, and so on. And
So
um,
Chris is just Chris is saying, because Chris was saying, for the people that just joined, he suffers from imposter syndrome in himself, um, and he is saying that it's holding him back from his writing because he doesn't feel that he can write from his heart, from his true
yeah.
self, because he feels like an imposter. So, what would you say to him?
Well, many writers feel that way. Many
Yeah.
writers feel that way, and the people that are successful on Substack and so on, they always say, "Do it anyway." In other words, what you really need to do if you have imposter syndrome is you've got to recognize it, think about your accomplishments, but have the courage to go on
Yeah.
and recognize even if I mean most of my notes I think are very valuable to people and very good and so on. You don't know how many of my notes get 0 likes.
But that's because you
And,
start
and
out, Bob. That's not because you're an imposter. It's because you're just starting on
yeah,
Substack. And we all have to go through that.
but
We all have to, it's
but
a
but
trial. If you get through
but
that,
but
then you start doing well. Um,
but but
but
I
I
mean
think
I mean I still post all the time notes
yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
just keep going.
Despite
Yeah.
that, just you got to
Yeah.
do it despite the way you feel.
Yeah, because imposter syndrome, if it carries on, it is an issue that you constantly think, and it holds you back because you're constantly thinking, I can't do this because I'm a fraud. If I do this, people will spot that I'm not good enough. I can't. If we're talking about Substack, I'm not a good writer. Look, I've got evidence because nobody reads my posts, so therefore I must be a fraud. But that's different to somebody who maybe is worried because they think, I'm writing and nobody's reading, nobody's taken any notice of me. I don't always think that they think then that they're a fraud, because if they do, then Substack is a problem that you need to. Substack is a problem. Imposter syndrome is a problem. No, Substack, you're not a problem. Imposter syndrome is a problem that you need to get help with if it goes on for a long time, and if it's really holding you back, and you feel that you're. I'll come back to that question in a minute, Chris, because that's interesting. But yeah, if you really feel that you are not good enough to write, then you probably end up giving up anyway, because it's not like a career where you've got to be there. But Chris has said he feels like a copycat. The thing is, Chris, whatever we write, somebody else has already written it. Maybe not
Hmm.
word for word, but they've had the same idea. They've written about the same subject. I write posts and I look on Substack and I see things and I think, where did they get that idea from? Somebody's tapped into my brain because I'm writing about that, and I see 3 or 4 other people writing about the same subject. It just happens, and just write. I mean, if it's coming out of your head, then you're not copying because it's out of your head. Nobody else has got access to your brain, hopefully. So just write. Nobody's gonna say, "Hey, that was mine. I wrote that," unless you have actually copied it. So don't worry about that. I wouldn't let that worry you.
Yeah. Well, two things I would mention. Um, one note that I repeat all the time, and by the way, a lot of the really successful people on Substack say repeat yourself. They do say that.
Yes.
Every
Yeah.
every note doesn't have to be original.
No.
And
No.
so repeat yourself. But one of the notes that I write most is so many intelligent and brilliant people. Um, uh, they
Yeah.
they don't accomplish much because they don't have the courage to take risks.
Yeah.
You gotta have the courage to go on, and it doesn't take that much courage. Once you start doing it, once you take action, you'll get the courage.
Courage
Take
comes from
action.
action.
Take
Yeah, you
action.
don't sit waiting for your courage to come. You take action first. So Susan is saying, I asked everyone at our Thanksgiving table this year what they felt were their best qualities and what they needed to work on. Good conversations resulted. It gave us a chance to compliment each other as well. That's brilliant. I love that. I love, love, love that. What a great way
Yeah,
to spend Thanksgiving. Well
yeah, that's
done. I
good.
love that.
That's good. That's good. Don't discuss politics.
No, because that'll end up in a fight for sure, especially if you're in America at the minute.
You
And Chris
know,
is saying that because he thinks he feels like a copycat, he thinks that it doesn't make him unique. If, like I said just now, Chris, if it's coming out of your brain, it's unique. It's your writing, you wrote it, it's unique. Just trust me on that. Just keep
that's
writing. The thing
right.
is, you're not writing because it's holding you back. And because you're not writing consistently, you're not getting the attention that you want. If you want people to take notice of you, you've got to keep churning out the notes, at least initially, until you get to be one of the writers that everybody wants to read, which takes a little while. I haven't got there
Right.
yet.
Again, it comes down to taking action.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to take action.
No.
Action will give you confidence. Action will give you confidence, even if it doesn't seem like it right away. The more actions you take, the more confidence and momentum you will build.
Yeah. So Bob,
Um,
do you think because of the imposter syndrome you had in your career, now you've come to a new career, your writing career, um, do you think that has helped you be a better writer because you're able to think to yourself, no, actually, I'm starting a new career. I'm going to do this. I'm going to push those thoughts away.
well, here's what's funny is I was regarded as pretty much the best legal writer of
Yeah.
legal stuff, briefs and so on, in my city. I mean, several federal court clerks and everything, they commented that, oh, you're the guy that's the great writer and so on. I
Right.
could write legal briefs and so on, but that was information. Writing on Substack and on social media and I thought it would come easy to me. I thought
Mhm.
people will like my stuff. Well, it's a whole different breed of cat, and I've got to learn how to write on social
Yeah.
media, and it's coming slowly, but it's coming. I've got the knowledge here, but when I write, I don't put it into practical effect, and
Yeah.
I'm working on that. I'm working on
Yeah.
that, but
I'm working on it. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I found the same really that moving from one career to another. So I was in retail banking and had a successful career. And so moving over to being a writer, completely different, even though, like you, I wrote reports, but they had to be in a certain way and written in a certain format so they couldn't be misread. So probably a lot like legal documents. And coming to writing, I thought, well, I'm a high achiever. I'll be able to do this. I'll be famous in a few weeks. And of course, that doesn't happen because you're starting again. You're starting at the bottom and working up, and you have to accept that. And it's funny, isn't it? It's a funny feeling when you're starting something brand new that especially when you've been in one career all your life, which you obviously were, and I was as well.
well, plus I came in with such confidence. Oh, people are going to love my writing right away because I'm
Yeah,
such a good writer.
yeah.
Nope. Nope. Yeah,
Chris says, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean, Chris? What are you asking? What do we mean about? So just perhaps expand on that. Um, yeah. So did you ever tell anybody? Because I think that's one of the good coping strategies. Oh, I explained it. Thank you. Yeah. So one of the coping strategies is to actually tell somebody how you feel. So did you ever do that?
no.
No.
Attorneys don't do that. They don't
No.
acknowledge weakness. They don't ask for help. They do, that's changing now in the legal profession and
Mm,
other professions, the medical professions and so on like that. People are seeing that asking for help is not a sign of weakness,
mm.
and that's hard to get over. It's hard to get over, especially for professionals.
Yeah.
They're supposed to know everything. They're supposed to know everything, and so I never acknowledged it.
So I've
I've,
come across so many people that studied law, and gave it up because of the pressure. So that possibly is one of the reasons that they didn't feel able to talk to anybody about how they were feeling.
well, the other thing is people come to you with their problems for you to solve them,
Yeah.
and you can't acknowledge that you have problems.
No.
So it's who um
Yeah.
yeah so
A company's being sued, and they come to you to represent them. They don't want to know about you thinking you're a fraud. That's the last thing they want to know.
exactly. Well, same way, like I said, I'm a certified mediator.
Yeah.
And the same thing in mediation, they don't want to know that you have problems. And you're
They've got
tempted.
problems.
you- You're tempted when you're mediating. Someone will say something that they're having a difficulty in a relationship, for instance,
Yeah.
and they'll say this, and I'll just go, "Yeah, I feel that way," but no, you can't.
I think that might be a good strategy actually. Like they tell you all their problems. You say, yeah, but you think you've got problems. Let me tell you mine. They
Yeah,
might
I
go
haven't
away
heard
thinking
that. I
my life's not
I,
so
I have.
bad.
Yeah, I haven't heard that recommended in any mediation seminars or anything like that.
I shall try that when I do it. Oh, bless you. Oh, you've gone again.
If I can
There you
just self promote for a minute, um, I, my,
Oh, you're coming and going, Bob.
okay,
There you
yeah,
are.
my my website on Substack is called Law and Life Lessons, and I've got an article that I think is pretty reasonable on imposter syndrome on there. If you
Okay.
want to go there,
Oh,
so
brilliant. Okay. Okay.
so
So, law and life lessons, Bob Lewis. And you've got so when was that? When did you write that? Was it recently or?
oh that no, that was back in April, I think it was.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but the thing is, what I'm redeveloping my website, and I'm going to be as a paid subscriber. If you become a paid subscriber, I'm going to do 2 free consultations with you, and
Okay.
so you
Yeah.
can come and do that. But anyway, I'll be doing that on the website, and you can see that. I don't want to
Yeah.
say too
So
much right
yeah.
now.
So
So
this is on your
I want to,
Substack homepage. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So what you could do is when this video goes out onto Substack, on the actual post, you could put a link to your article on there if you can do that, because then people can just click on it and find it easier.
Yeah.
If you
I
manage to
will
do
be.
that.
I will. Yeah, I will try and do that. I will try and
Okay.
do that. So,
Okay. Yeah, because I think you sent a message out this morning to say that you're making some changes on your Substack, and
right.
you're going to tell people about it next week. So you don't want to say any more tonight.
Yeah.
That's just a little
Well.
taster of what's coming.
Yeah. I want to make sure what I say is accurate.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, oh yeah, in true attorney style. You got to get it right. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions before we go? Before Bob teleports off again?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? And thank you so much for everybody that's been here. Um, and do you have anything else to add before we finish off, Bob?
Not really. Let me look at my. I've written on this many times, by the way.
Okay.
And the article that I wrote on my website, that's toning it down a little bit. Most of the articles I read are more informational and legalistic,
Right. Yeah.
and I tried to tone it down, not speaking down to people, but just to make it more
Make it like a
understandable.
12-year-old could
For
read it. That's what we like. Yeah.
yeah. So let me just look here real quick. Let's see. Some things are. Um, if the important thing is, if you have friends or relatives that you think have the imposter syndrome, let them know so they can recognize that they have it.
Yeah.
That's probably the first and most important thing is recognize you have it so you can address the situation.
Yeah.
If you recognize it, then it's easier to acknowledge all your accomplishments.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind that the people with imposter syndrome are high accomplishers.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't have if you have imposter syndrome, it means you are accomplishing things.
Yes.
People,
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Otherwise,
you
you
have
look like a
imposter
fraud. Yeah.
syndrome, yeah, people that don't try things don't have imposter syndrome because
No.
they don't feel like a fraud. They're even afraid to try something. You've accomplished it. You have accomplished it, and be proud of that,
Yeah.
and recognize it. That's the thing. Recognize your accomplishments, and don't be
Definitely.
embarrassed
Definitely.
about them. Don't be
No.
embarrassed about them or anything.
No, why would you be
So
embarrassed? No, exactly. No,
exactly, exactly.
I always recommend people keep a list of their accomplishments, even the smallest wins. Just write it down, and then when you start doubting yourself, you've got that list to look at, and it's actual proof that you are great. And it's also training your brain because the more things you write down that you've got right, that have gone well, the more your brain will look for more because you're telling it this is important to me because you're writing it down.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also the self-help gurus always say they say keep a daily journal. They say
yeah,
that's a good thing. And
yeah,
keeping a daily journal, you can write down the things you've accomplished
yeah,
there,
yeah,
and it reminds you of that, and you can look back on that and see all the stuff you've accomplished. So that's good. It's a good practice. It's a good
yeah,
practice. So
yeah.
does someone have a question?
No, Chris just said I fall off that wagon regularly because he knows he's supposed to write his greatness list. I've told him time after time,
Yeah.
but yeah. Hopefully, I'll be able to be on Substack more after semester end. Yeah, brilliant. Well, it'd be nice to see you. Okay. Right. So I think we'll finish there then. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Bob. It's made me smile and laugh anyway. So
Well,
thank you.
I hope people found something or much of it helpful. That's the
Uh,
main thing.
yeah.
Helpful stuff,
Yeah.
helpful stuff. So,
It is helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Chris said
thank
it.
you everyone for being on.
Thank you. Okay. Goodbye then. Have a great day, rest of the day. Bye.